A wealthy man was on trial for murder. The courtroom was silent. Everyone knew he was guilty, but no one dared to speak up. He wasn't just rich. He was the town's feared gangster, untouchable by law. With no evidence strong enough to convict him, the judge was ready to set him free. But just then, the heavy doors swung open. A 3-year-old girl walked in with a massive German Shepherd by her side. She pointed directly at the man and said, "He's the killer." No one believed her. Until she whispered to her dog, "I need you." What happened next shocked every single person in that courtroom. The courtroom was thick with tension so heavy it seemed to suffocate the air itself. On one side sat the accused. A wealthy, powerful man whose influence stretched across the entire town. People whispered his name with fear. He wasn't just rich. He was feared like a gangster. Someone no one dared to cross. The case against him was serious. The brutal murder of a woman who had once lived quietly among the townspeople. But despite mounting suspicion, no one had been brave enough to step forward. Witnesses stayed silent, terrified of what might happen if they spoke against him. His presence alone felt like a living threat. The judge adjusted his glasses, his gavel resting nearby. Lawyers exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the weight of the moment. The trial had dragged on for weeks, but now it seemed to be ending. Not with justice, but with silence. As the judge cleared his throat and prepared to announce the verdict, the room shifted uneasily. Everyone knew what was coming. Without testimony or solid evidence, the accused would walk free. The victim's memory would fade, buried beneath fear and power. And the townspeople would leave, still living under the shadow of a man untouchable by the law. Just as the judge parted his lips to deliver the verdict, the heavy wooden doors at the back of the courtroom creaked open. Every head turned at once. To everyone's astonishment, it wasn't a lawyer or an officer entering. It was a little girl, no older than 3 or 4, clutching a worn teddy bear in one hand. Beside her padded a large, imposing German Shepherd, his steady gait echoing across the marble floor. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Murmurs broke out almost instantly. "What is a child doing here?" One voice whispered. "Where are her parents?" Another asked. And then came the most pressing question of all. Why is she walking into a murder trial with such a huge dog? The girl's tiny footsteps carried her forward, her eyes unwavering, her dog following loyally by her side. The guards at the door hesitated, unsure if they should stop her. But something in her quiet determination held them back. Even the judge leaned forward, brows furrowed, watching her approach. By the time she reached the witness stand, the room had fallen into stunned silence. The accused scowled, clearly irritated. The little girl clutched the rail, lifted her chin bravely, and spoke words that struck the room like thunder. "I know he's the killer." For a moment, the entire courtroom froze. The judge's gavel hovered midair. The lawyers stared wide-eyed, and the crowd erupted into startled whispers. A little girl accusing the most powerful man in town of murder. It seemed unbelievable. The accused leaned back in his chair, a smirk tugging at his lips. "This is nonsense," he scoffed, his voice dripping with arrogance. "A child has no place here. She doesn't even know what murder means." Laughter rippled through some of his supporters in the gallery, their mocking tone only fueling the tension. The defense attorney rose quickly, adjusting his tie. "Your Honor," he said smoothly. "This little girl is clearly lost. Perhaps she wandered in by mistake. Allow me to escort her out so we can end this farce." His words drew chuckles from a few jurors, but the judge's stern gaze silenced them immediately. "Enough," the judge thundered. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. He studied the girl closely, noting her trembling hands but steady eyes. "This court will hear what she has to say." The laughter died. The atmosphere shifted once more, heavy with anticipation. The girl's small voice had already disrupted the trial. Now the question hung over everyone. What could she possibly reveal that no one else dared to? The little girl tightened her grip on the wooden rail, her teddy bear dangling from her other hand. Her voice shook at first, but her words carried a weight that silenced the entire courtroom. "I saw him," she whispered, pointing straight at the accused. "I saw him kill the lady who lived next door." Gasps spread like wildfire. The accused's smirk faltered, though he quickly masked it with another scoff. "Ridiculous," he barked. But the judge motioned for silence, his eyes locked on the child. "Go on, little one," he said gently. She swallowed hard, her eyes wide with memory. "I was standing at my window. It was late. I saw this man with a knife. He went into the lady's house. I heard her scream. Then I saw him stab her." Her small hand mimicked the motion, stabbing downward, making the entire courtroom collectively shudder. The defense attorney shot to his feet, his face flushed. "Your Honor, this is absurd. She's a child lost in fantasy. Surely you cannot." "Sit down," the judge commanded, his gavel slamming hard. His voice echoed with authority. "We will not dismiss her words." The girl's eyes glistened, but her voice grew stronger. "She was kind to me. She gave me cookies. And now she's gone because of him." The room fell into an eerie silence, all eyes shifting to the accused. For the first time, a shadow of unease crossed his face. If this story touches your heart, please share it with someone who believes in the power of courage. The defense attorney laughed bitterly, shaking his head. "Your Honor, surely you won't let the ramblings of a child determine the fate of a respected man." A few people in the crowd even chuckled, dismissing her words as childish imagination. The accused leaned forward, his voice sharp and commanding. "Remove her. She is wasting everyone's time." Tears welled in the little girl's eyes. No one believed her. Her voice trembled as she clutched her teddy tighter. Then, with sudden courage, she straightened her back, turned toward her dog, and shouted, "I need you." The German shepherd, who had been lying quietly beside her, sprang to life. His bark thundered through the courtroom, echoing against the high walls. Gasps erupted as the dog moved with precision, circling the accused, his growls low and menacing. The once confident man stiffened, fear flickering across his face. "Control that beast!" He snapped, but his voice cracked, betraying his nerves. The dog ignored him, sniffing urgently around his chair before darting out the courtroom doors. Confusion rippled through the room. Seconds later, the shepherd returned, clutching something tightly in his jaws. He dropped it in the center of the courtroom. A blood-stained knife. The same knife the girl had described. The crowd erupted in shock. The accused face drained of color, and for the first time, silence fell heavy over him. His mask of power was breaking. Gasps echoed as officers rushed forward to secure the knife. The crimson stains on the blade glistened under the courtroom lights, and within minutes, forensic experts confirmed what the girl had claimed. The fingerprints belonged to the accused. The room fell into stunned silence. The wealthy man who once carried himself like an untouchable king now sat trembling, his face pale, sweat dripping from his brow. His lawyer stammered, searching desperately for words, but there was nothing left to defend. The evidence was undeniable. And the truth had been dragged into the light by a child and her loyal dog. The judge's gavel slammed with authority. His voice rang clear and firm. "This man is guilty of murder. He is hereby sentenced accordingly." Relief swept through the courtroom as whispers turned into applause. Justice, long feared impossible, had finally been served. The little girl hugged her German shepherd tightly as tears rolled down her cheeks. This time, tears of triumph. The townspeople rose to their feet, praising the bravery of the child and the heroism of her dog. In that moment, her parents burst into the courtroom, their faces filled with shock and overwhelming pride. They embraced their daughter, holding her close, knowing she had done what no one else dared. She had lifted the weight of fear and restored justice. If this incredible story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful true stories that prove courage knows no age and justice can come from the most unexpected places.